session. First, we'll start off with public comment. We've got a few public comments here today. The first public comment is by Miss Deborah Durr-Williams. Apologies.
Right here. Well, first of all, good evening. My name is Deborah Durr-Williams, and I'd like to speak with you in reference to Southeast Raleigh, Biltmore Hills Parks. In a little history, in 1975, the Ebony Racquet Club was established to promote an appreciation for tennis, athletic excellence, sportsmanship, and cultivate Black tennis culture in Southeast Raleigh. Initially, 4 courts were established in the late 1970s, and then the community petitioned to build 4 additional courts in the early 1980s. In 2012, Shaw University Bears won the NCAA Regional Championship at Biltmore Hills. Biltmore was the home base for the Shaw University tennis, which benefited from collegiate sports. Also, currently, there's junior tennis and adult league play that is thriving at the court. Biltmore project has a budget of 1.8 for the tennis center expansion. Eventually was put on hold because the fundings were not adequate to support the concept. Community members voiced concerns about the conditions of the existing courts, adding for the support of more courts, tennis building, and parking. The average lifespan for tennis courts are approximately 25 years, depending on the weather and usage, with routine maintenance and resurfacing scheduled every 4 to 8 years. The existing courts are 40 to 8 years old, were resurfaced in 2017, but problems remain, including dead spots, cracks, drainage, and grading issues. Parks, recs, and cultural resource staffs were made aware of these ongoing issues with the existing courts. The community continues to express that the project plan needed to address existing courts along with the construction of the new courts. The community also expressed the need for dedicated staff with office near the courts and storage for tennis equipment. The Southeast Raleigh Tennis Center with 16 courts would be the second largest public tennis complex in Raleigh. If all courts are compatible and meet USTA, Biltmore could host revenue-generating tennis programs, recreational play, and competitive events. As a member of the community, and I also play there, is that we hope that the board would consider the plan that would include rebuilding the existing 8 courts, adding 8 new courts, and providing office with the designated staff close in proximity to our courts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. All right, next comment is from Patrick Faulkner.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Faulkner. I actually have two sons who play at Biltmore, and we've been very happy with the program there, but it can definitely need some expanding too. So I'm here representing some of the stakeholders, including like Shaw University, Ebony Racquet Club in particular, and the junior tennis program and some of the adults. So currently, Shaw University is about 2 miles away from Biltmore Hills Park, but they are currently playing, their home court is like at Worthdale. There's been maybe a few disputes that I've personally experienced since, I also play with on the adult team also, and sometimes there may be disputes and different things like that occur, and it would be a good idea to have some type of person there on site that could kind of alleviate some of those problems. With no on-site person, like I said, disputes could be resolved. Currently, there are 16 comparable courts that are there. During the construction that's going to occur about a year out, it would be ideal to have some type of existing courts as well as construct new courts and walkways and different things like that. Office space could be essential for disputes as well. Somebody that's on site can kind of alleviate different type of issues or different problems, different safety issues and concerns also. Because currently there's no direct line of sight from where the current recreation center is to the courts itself. So that would be a kind of a great idea to have somebody there on site. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Faulkner. Next comment is from William Murphy.
Good evening. Appreciate you giving us the opportunity to come before you today. My name is William Murphy, and I am also a tennis player. I have grandkids to play, and we look forward to that activity. And it's been it meant a lot to us to have that facility there. And the question comes up, what are we asking for? I think if you've heard several of my members come before you saying that the things that we're asking for is a place that represents us. When I say us, a place that you have your friends come in, when you play tennis, you have a place they can go to the bathroom without being mugged. We don't have that now. A place that can be observed, somebody to be there if you come out to play, that you have someone you can talk to use the courts. A place where we can have tournaments, where we can let them know, look, there is more than one place in Raleigh to have tournaments. Okay, the money has been appropriated. We're not sure if those dollars has been transmitted to the proper police people, but that's one of the reasons we're here today is say that we are asking to have, and we've been asking for several months now to have a community presentation again. We've had one. The last one was over a year ago. And the thing about it is that this is a project that's been going on for 10 years. How long do you have to wait to have a project done? The money has been there. So our question is, what's happening with the proper funds to get the things that we need to have done? What do we ask? We're asking for another meeting to reevaluate the plans that we have, to entertain those ideas we talked about most urgently needed. A building there that would have, we're not asking for a big elaborate place, just a place where we have someone there to be able to oversee the 16 courts. To me, it doesn't make any sense to have 16 courts and not have anyone to supervise it. So that's been one of the biggest things we'll come back. Plus, like I said, what we want to build in Biltmore is something that's going to represent Biltmore. We don't want a mediocre place. We want a place that when we go there, we'll be proud to invite people to have tournaments, and for you, when you want to come to play, feel safe. Again, thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. All right. Any other public comment? I think there were some folks that came in after the list. No. Sir, do you want to come down and speak?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marvin Bautista. I'm a proud resident of the Biltmore Hills neighborhood, and I'm here tonight to express my enthusiasm for the expansion of the Biltmore Tennis Center. And
could you speak a little bit more into the mic, sir?
Okay. First and foremost, on behalf of my neighborhood, I want to thank the City of Raleigh for voters and this board for securing the necessary funding for the 2022 park bond, of which $6.75 million investment will be for the expansion of the tennis court. And I can attest to the gentleman over there that because of the scarcity of tennis courts in that area, the people supposed to be harmoniously joined, but there's skirmishes between groups. Basically, there are 3 groups using the tennis courts. One is the Ebony Racket Club. The second one is our club, the former Ebony members, but now we have a different group that plays on Thursday and Saturday. And then there's the third group, which we call it the Black Network Professionals, which play also in that court. So with the scarcity of courts being there, instead of there are fights and calls through David Bell to settle those fights. So another thing that I want to raise is with the current market condition and inflation, that 6.75 million back in 2022 can buy less nowadays. So if further delay is happening, then we will get less out of these bonds. So, and also the number 3 is the window of opportunity for my kids and my people. My kid used to be like 10 years old and supposed to be playing in that court, but now he's in college, so he lost that opportunity. Some of our members in our group already died young, 2 of them, and some of them got injured and never played tennis anymore. So we lost those window opportunity to play in that court were supposed to be built earlier. So those 3 reasons, I asked this board to help us out to speed up the process, and hopefully by spring of 2027, that courts will be built. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Okay. And I just want to make a statement that oh, do you want to come on down?
I can't come down because I'm in a wheelchair.
Okay. Sorry about that, ma'am.
I can say what needs to be said loud enough.
Do we have a microphone that we can bring back to her? I can hear you, ma'am, but there's people on TV that it may not pick up. But if we don't have a mic, then go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I will try to speak as loud as I possibly can. I am Keisha Price. I actually run the junior program there. And I wanted to just add a couple of things to that comment. There are multiple groups, but I feel like we're harmonious in that we all want the same thing for Ebony Racket Club, for all the other groups that are playing there. We do want the next set of 8 courts that are being built, but we're all harmonious in thinking that the existing courts need work, and really they need to be rebuilt. So we are harmonious in that one idea, and I just wanted to say that there may be multiple groups there, but we are thinking the same thing. There's so many spots and things like that on the courts, the existing courts. So we do need to make those changes. We need it to be on the 8 existing courts also.
Okay. Thank you, Coach K. Do you mind repeating part of that into the microphone? Just maybe a high-level summary of that you guys are working together.
I said that I'm Coach K, or Keisha Price, and I run the junior program there. I run the junior program for Ebony Racket Club. And I'm saying that even though it's multiple groups of people and we all play there, we're all harmonious in that we all feel that the 8 existing courts need that work first. It doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be first, we just need it. If we're going to build 8 more courts, and we do need an area or a group of people that are there monitoring those courts. So that's all I'm saying. We are harmonious in that one idea.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like there's another comment on the other side of the aisle.
Hi. Hello, my name is Angelina Jacobs, and thank you so much for your guys' time this evening. I'm also from the Biltmore area, and I'm more speaking from the player's point of view. I grew up in Raleigh and at Biltmore, and Coach K and a lot of other people in this room have been a really huge part of my tennis journey, and another person is my father, who took me to Biltmore all the time as a kid, just feeding me balls and trying to make me a better player. But as I got older and as I did get better, we just came to realize that for some of the resources, like more courts, being more exposed to juniors, and like also amenities like ball machines. We found ourselves having to go to Cary and Millbrook, just going further from home. And honestly, if we had those things at Biltmore Hills, then I would have definitely stayed just because of the community. Like, they're kind of like my family. So it was just those things were kind of like blocking me staying there. But even though I did have to go elsewhere, like, they were still behind me every step of the way. So I believe that not only myself, but juniors coming up after me could really benefit from more courts. Not even just juniors, adults as well. Everyone really can benefit from more courts there and more amenities and more, I guess, safety precautions there concerning bathrooms and everything like that, just to make it more welcoming and more just better for us and everyone. So, yeah. And I remember when we were told that the expansion was coming. I forgot how old I was, but and it hasn't come yet. So I just believe that that will make a huge difference. And even though I didn't get to see it, like, kids after me can, and maybe Shaw University can come back to Biltmore one day. Because when I was little, I remember seeing them play there, and it was very, very inspiring. So to have them come back to Biltmore as their home courts would be amazing. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment? Well, I just want to say that I play at Biltmore Hills quite a bit, and I agree with what all of you guys have said. Coach K, I've had a lesson with you. Thank you for the instruction you've given. Dr. Murphy, I haven't had the pleasure of playing you, but I think you've seen me lose quite a bit out there before. And this is something being worked on. I don't see Ken Hisler here, but is there somebody from his staff that might be able to speak to timing?
So I can go ahead and jump in. This is Charles Craig. One of the things I want to share is we are in the process now of scheduling some public meetings so that the public can be involved. It will be hosted at the Biltmore Community Center. We're looking at early next year, 2026, right there in January. Once that is completely published, it will be on the website. Marketing will go out, all of the comments, concerns, feedbacks, ideas. We welcome all of that, and that will take place in January. So I know there was a request for a meeting. It's coming, so be on the lookout, and we have it ready for you in January.
That's terrific. And Bob?
Chris, on my several trips out to Biltmore, I have asked also they make sure that traffic patterns are worked with and parking facilities are provided, you know, for the additional courts that are being put in. I know that one of the streets that I saw is extremely narrow. I was there when there was an activity in the pavilion, and the people were having to leave in the same order they had arrived because you couldn't pull around people. So I think we should probably look at some of the traffic and parking to make sure that we, when we put the beautiful courts in, that people can actually get to and from them in an expeditious manner. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've spoken to a few people. Ebony Racquet Club, if for anybody that doesn't know, does a great job, and I'm sure the other two clubs do as well, but Ebony in particular hosts tournaments. There's schedules that people from all around the Triangle region in North Carolina come and play. I know Coach K hosts a white tournament that I've heard a lot of people talk about that's kind of like a mini Wimbledon. But yeah, I mean, if we're trying to host bigger and bigger tournaments there to kind of not necessarily rival Millbrook, but be able to also be a destination, like Bob said, people are going to have somewhere to park, and they're going to have to be able to handle those traffic patterns. So, Kara?
Do we know who from the board is sitting on the CAG for that project? Oh, it's in the, okay.
Okay. All right. Any other public comment? Anybody else from the board want to chime in? Okay. And, you know, as we've mentioned, that is something that's on the agenda for the Parks Committee. It's coming up, and as Assistant Director Craig mentioned, that meeting is coming up as well. But obviously, this is something that is really important. If you go between Millbrook and you go between Biltmore Hills, right now you can tell that there's a really big difference between those two facilities. And I think that everybody in the city would benefit if Biltmore Hills, that difference wasn't as noticeable.
The liaisons, we only have one, which is Chris. We are looking for another one for that one.
Okay. Well, don't think I've missed any meetings. Have there been meetings recently? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep on coming down to Biltmore Hills, but if anybody wants to come with me, it is a great facility. There are some great courts there. They need some work, as the speaker said. And so if we can add to that, I think that'll just benefit the entire city as well as the tennis community, both old and young. All right. Moving past public comment, and I want to thank all of you guys for coming here today. I know it's not easy to come and speak in front of this body. You guys have a really valuable position that you were trying to speak out on, and we appreciate that you guys came to speak to us en masse, and your concerns have been heard. All right, we have Raleigh Youth Council has a committee report. Do we have the Raleigh Youth Council reps present?
Hello, everyone. My name is Elsa Weiner, and I'm the 2025-2026 Vice Chair of the Raleigh Youth Council. This past month, we had 2 community service opportunities. On October 25th, we held our annual Specialized Recreation and Inclusion Halloween Dance for teens and adults with special needs and disabilities. There were 69 participants, 21 volunteers, and we loved to put on this event because it was a fun and it was a festive time for everyone. On October 30th, a couple of our members supported the Tarboro Road Community Center's Trunk or Treat. The participants received candy, made crafts, played gaga ball, had a bounce house, and enjoyed cider tasting. This event had a great turnout, and the participants were left with lots of candy. At our past meeting, we had the opportunity to share our input on the city's budget priorities with the Budget Management Services Department. It was a great opportunity for us as teens to use our voices and learn more about the community. For upcoming community service this month, we are preparing for an annual Toys from Teens event on December 6th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It'll be at Roberts Park Community Center, and this event is for children ages birth to 12 years old. To prepare, we are collecting toys and hosting gift wrapping nights this month. With that being said, we are collecting new unwrapped toys for children ages birth to 12 years old. This year, the event is scheduled a weekend earlier than we normally have in the past, which leaves us with fewer times, and also some previous partners have dropped out, so we are really in need of toys. If you'd like to donate, we have a toy drive, and boxes will be at Abbott's Creek Community Center, Barwell Community Center, Briar Creek Community Center, and Roberts Park. So feel free to donate to those boxes. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah,
Ian?
when will and thank you for the presentation, when will the toy donation boxes be at those community centers?
I think they are going to be there now and until December 4th.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Our first presentation tonight is a What We Do session from the Raleigh Parks GIS team.
Good evening, Parks Board Chair and members. I'm Helene McCullough. I'm the business manager for the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department, and I'm not going to talk about budget tonight. I'm excited to talk about another team that I have that works with me, and that's our GIS and their award-winning GIS team that we have, and I'm going to introduce Jeff Dawson, who is in charge of this awesome team.
Good evening, Chair and board members. Thank you for having us tonight. Yesterday was GIS Day, which we were fortunate to celebrate, and at least one of you got to spend some time with us there, so really appreciative of that. The City of Raleigh hosted that at the City Museum. And today, we wanted, in the spirit of GIS Day, to give you a little bit of what we do as GIS professionals. So I'm the Technology and Analytics Manager or Supervisor for the City of Raleigh. It's Parks, Recreation, Cultural Resource Department. And I have with me Mike Gudekunst, who's our GIS Supervisor, and he'll come up and give you a great presentation of some exciting things that we do.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Let me go bring my PowerPoint here. All right. So thank you very much for having us here today. We're very excited to be able to share some of our work and what we do. As Jeff mentioned, this is a banner week for us. Not only do we get to present to you fine folks here, yesterday was GIS Day that's celebrated globally across the world, where professionals in the GIS community get together and kind of share work and thoughts and ideas and all that kind of stuff. So we had a great gathering yesterday at the City of Raleigh Museum. Got to share information with like Wake County and the state, and some high schools were there, and we got to meet with some of you fine folks here and talk about things that you guys are interested in. So we really appreciate that. So first, I'd like to kind of just introduce my team. As I said, my name is Mike Gudekunst. I've been working for the City of Raleigh for about 20 years now, and I've been in parks for a little bit over 6 years, running our GIS and asset management program. Very fortunate to also have Ben Van Wagner and Marissa Verbanek on the team as full-time GIS analysts. And we also have a part-time staff member, John Owens, who's not able to be here today. But Ben and Marissa particularly, they're the shining stars of this group. Everything that we're going to kind of showcase today that they're responsible for. Cannot ask for a better group of folks. They're kind of GIS wizards in this profession. So yeah, I try to stay out of their way the best I can and make sure they make me look great. So quick agenda. I was told we have about 15 minutes, and in reality, we could probably spend 2 hours showing all the great stuff that we've been working on, but we're going to try to keep it quick and short. I'm going to go over a little bit about what GIS is, in case anybody's not familiar with it. I'm sure some of you are, but if you're not, kind of give a brief overview of what that is, and how we're using it in Raleigh Parks Division. And then I'm going to turn it over to Ben and Marissa, and we had kicked around some ideas whether to go in depth about one or two things that we worked on, or go kind of rapid fire over a bunch of different applications that we built, and we decided we're going to do that. So we're not going to go super in depth on some of these different applications, but we're going to touch base on a lot of them, which will be great. And the ones that are currently public facing, under the Explore Parks and Greenways, those URLs will be in the meeting notes after this meeting. So if you'd like to go, if you already haven't found them and explored them yourselves, please do that and provide any feedback. They're great tools for the community to kind of get to know our Parks and Greenway system. So GIS, what is it and how is it useful, right? So GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. They're tools that allow us to capture, store, analyze, and visualize data that has a spatial aspect to it. Everybody here, even if you're not familiar with GIS, I pretty much guarantee all of you use GIS every day, whether it's your navigation apps on your phone, whether it's rideshare apps like Uber, find the nearest store, your weather app to see when the next storm's coming through, real estate searches, when you pick all the filters and show me, I want a house this size and this community and close to whatever, that's all GIS in action. So you may not open up one of those and say, hey, I'm using GIS, but you're using GIS pretty regularly. It's a field that's really kind of exploded over the last 10 or 15 years, and we're very excited to be able to participate in it. A GIS map can show many layers of information at the same time. So it can show where schools are, where water and sewer lines are, where parks and greenways are, where traffic might be heavy, where people live, where certain animal species live, where there's certain invasive species and where they're located. And you can take a lot of complex data that in a spreadsheet might not mean a whole lot, but then when you visualize it on a map and see patterns and relationships and where things happen, that can tell a powerful story, and that's what GIS is. So what do we do? Well, first and foremost, we maintain a lot of data. Raleigh Parks, it consists of over 10,000 acres of park and greenway land, nearly 130 miles of greenway trails. We have 112 tennis courts. We have athletic fields, open play spaces, park benches, all this stuff that we maintain. We maintain a spatial data set for that. So it might be a point on a map, might be the polygon of the park boundary, might be a linear trail of where our greenway trails are. So that's the most important part, because any of the stuff we do after that doesn't mean a whole lot if that data is not accurate, it's not up to date, it's not current, it's not well maintained in a strategic way. We also assist our staff. So one of the great things, Ben, Marissa, and I, we've all got our degrees in GIS. We get to work with great park staff that have their own field of expertise, and they get to teach us about what they do, and we get to create new applications and new things that could assist them in their work, to help streamline their work, to make it a little bit easier. Instead of doing things on paper, now we can do things digitally, whether it's collect data in the field, whether it's doing bridge inspections on the greenway trails. We assist them the best way we can and try to make their jobs a little bit easier. We can build dashboards and web maps and surveys and other data collection tools that help our staff, help communicate things, and help really make better decisions. You know, GIS is by stacking layers and looking at patterns and solving problems and how things are connected, it can really make smart, better decisions and make our leadership, you know, be able to see things in a different way and like, okay, and have some science behind it. You know, we're lucky enough, the last couple of years, been able to go to a big GIS conference, and their coined phrase is, it's the science of where. And it really is. It's about the science of where things are and how they're interconnected with each other. So it's exciting that we could do that type of stuff. And just briefly before I turn it over to the really important folks back here, who do we serve in our department? We work with everybody. We have about 400 folks, full-time staff in our department, and we work with everybody from urban forestry, who maintains over 280,000 street trees, and they have a point for each one of them, and we do work orders against them so we can track the work. We work with our volunteer programming services, so we have an adopted trail and an adopted program, or park application where the community can sign up to adopt a trail segment, and then in the back end, our staff can like manage that and see how often they're going out to maintain those trails and things like that. And so we get to work with everybody across our department, and we also get to build things for citizens of the Raleigh so they can better explore, better look at, and better learn about all the great parks and greenways and everything else programs that we have to offer. So now I am going to turn it over to Marissa, who's going to talk a little bit about the different applications that we have that are publicly facing, that our community can use to learn about what we have and what we have to offer. Marissa?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. As Mike said, I'm Marissa Verbanek, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the public-facing applications that we create. It's just a small portion of what we do, but in my opinion, it's some of the most exciting work because we get to communicate data and interact with the public. So the first application we're going to talk about is the Raleigh Park Locator. This allows citizens to look up what park is closest to them. So you can type in your home address, a school address, or maybe a work, and see which park is closest to you. You can filter by a park type, by park amenity, or by an activity that you want to do. You can link directly to directions by car, walking, bus transit, and you can also, it is incorporated with our rec track, so you can directly click to a link to sign up for programs or activities in that specific park. It's also available on mobile and desktop, so it's completely responsive. So the next one is the Dix Park Explorer. Everybody's really excited about Dix Park. We worked really closely with our communication folks over there. Some key features is you can sort by parking locations, restrooms, or public art. So if you want to see where the new trolls are, you can scroll over to the art tab and view more information about those. Again, this is mobile and desktop available, and this allows us to make immediate updates that are reflected to the public, such as the shuttles during the Gibson Play Plaza opening. So the next application I'm going to talk about is our Capital Area Greenway Explorer. This is optimized for mobile, but again, available on desktop as well. We deployed some temporary yard signs along a few of our greenways with QR codes so that users can scan those along their way. They can easily navigate the map to select a point or trace out a route and see what is closest to them, such as restrooms, parking areas, bike repair stations if you get a flat tire. There are also links to our Greenway alerts, as well as our volunteer opportunities. And users can also report issues that they see along the Greenway, like graffiti or such. So the final one I'm going to talk about is our Raleigh Rose Garden tour. This is Esri's story map platform, which allows us to kind of communicate a more narrative story to the user rather than a data-heavy story. This is interactive and allows users to kind of scroll through the garden to view all of the roses. So this was created in response to a lot of questions that our volunteers were getting about if we were doing tours in the garden. And while we don't currently offer those, we thought of another solution that we could provide. So users can actually do this from home, or they can be at the garden and follow this along. And you can read a little bit about the roses, see beautiful pictures, and see where each one is located. So thank you all for having me. I'm going to pass it off to Ben to show a little bit more about the internal work that we do to support our staff.
Hey, how's everyone doing? My name is Ben Van Wagener, and like you just saw from Rissa, we have a lot of public-facing web application that we're doing, but we also have a lot of internal analysis going on as well. So one of the major projects that we have currently is our 10-minute walk service area analysis. So the 10-minute walk, or about a half mile, is the national standard for quality park access within a walkable distance. Obviously, as you all can imagine, being within a 10-minute walk of a park has numerous benefits, from physical and mental health improvements, the ability to connect with members of your community, and just access to different types of free recreation for yourself or any children you may have. The benefits are pretty much endless, so we analyze where our current service areas are, and more importantly, use that analysis to kind of target and identify areas where there are gaps in our service areas, and then potential ways to better provide access to the citizens who are within those gaps. And so one of the major ways we do that are through JUAs, or joint use agreements, with Wake County Public Schools. These schools generally have a lot of the similar amenities that some of our parks will have. They'll have tennis courts, they'll have playgrounds, they'll have walking trails. And analyzing and creating these joint use agreements with these schools can fill in some of the gaps that we have across the city. Their schools and these amenities already exist, so that's a big benefit to doing this type of analysis. And it's obviously we currently have 15 joint use agreements with schools, and we're analyzing schools if we could potentially grow the amount of joint use agreements we have. So analyzing the potential service areas that these schools may provide, and highlighting the areas where, if we were to have a joint use agreement with the school, how much of the new population will we then serve to better improve our numbers across the board of the number of citizens that are within a 10-minute walk to a park or a greenway. So, and then kind of more from an operational standpoint, we, as the Parks Department, are responsible for clearing debris from right-of-way during storm events. And we do this from an operational standpoint by utilizing 3 different GIS applications. The first one is going to be the field maps application that our field crew will use on their phones or on their iPads in the field as the storm is happening. Then we have a supervisor app that our supervisors will use at the command center on their desktop, and they're able to monitor the data that's being collected and update any statuses as debris is cleared. And then lastly, there's a leadership dashboard that you'll see here in a second that kind of shows an overview of all the current debris in the streets, and any of the work that's being done to clear it out, and any debris that still remains. So this slide shows an example of those 3 different applications: the Field Maps app on your phone, the Supervisor application that they can then update statuses of debris that's uncleared, and then the operational overview of all the number of incidents. There's some, obviously there's not 894 current debris in the field. That's just an example of all the data that we have. We'll apply a filter to only show the debris that's obviously current. But this was just set up as an example, so you all can see what it could potentially look like during a live storm event. Yeah, and so our field staff will then go out and I want to backtrack a little bit. The workflow that during these events, a lot of our field crew will identify debris in the field using that app, but we also receive calls from the 911 and then our non-emergency response center calls, and they'll give us addresses of debris that's currently existing, and we'll then add that to the map ourselves. So, and that's a little bit about our internal analysis. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them right now.
Yep. Carrie?
I'm an active volunteer at the Dix Park Collective, and I say that from the standpoint of when we did the Gibson Play Plaza opening, the Explorer app was phenomenally successful to be able to point people in the right direction. Because I'm going to be there Saturday for the troll hunters, my next query is there an opportunity to add the trolls to the map? Because that is certainly something bringing people to other parks.
Yeah, absolutely. As of this morning, the trolls are on the map.
I just looked, I didn't see anything, so maybe you could point it out that way. I
Oh,
can tell
sure.
After is fine.
Okay.
If you'd like.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Other questions? Jack?
You mentioned going to one of the big national conferences. I'm curious if are there any features that are coming down the pipeline? I know companies like Esri are talking about AI, I'm sure, a lot in those kind of breakout sessions. Is there anything that you guys are excited about to come down the pipeline?
Yeah, so AI was the hot topic at the Esri conference this past year, and they're doing a lot of different things to try to incorporate some different mechanisms in their platform. And so we are, as a city, we're starting to explore how it could be used properly and like what we can do to take advantage of it, because I think at the end of the day, we need to understand how we can use it to benefit ourselves. So I wouldn't say there's one specific thing that's coming out right now, but that is something definitely they're heavily investing in right now, and it's going to be something that's going to be built into their platform going forward.
Cool. And one quick other question, I feel like more and more data is being produced every day. Are there any data sets that you feel like are kind of a gap in your guys' workflow in the federal level or any kind of level that you'd be excited if there was more data being produced around?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think one of the things we're starting to get into now is looking at some of our tree canopy. We do have some tree canopy data we received from Wake County. That's a few years old now, but tree canopy data, average surface land temperature stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that we can do now if we have the data available. So I think that's something that we're interested in. And I think the state just flew new LiDAR data that the city just received recently. So that's something that we can incorporate to perhaps create new tree canopy and look at more environmental climate impact type situations.
Cool. Thank you.
Steve?
Just two quick questions. One, there was a mention of, and I've gone out there and seen this stuff, and it is super cool and fun. But it was mention of, you have the online thing and you have the app. Are some of these apps and some of them just your straight websites?
Yeah. So the things we showed today that are public facing, those are all they're browser based, so you can use on your laptop or Safari or whatever you might be. Esri does have a series of platforms of application platforms you can download. They're called Field Maps, Survey 123. Those are more for I would say folks that are actively GIS folks that are out in the field collecting data or collecting surveys, things like that. So there's a combination of both, but everything that we develop for public facing is browser based.
Great, thanks. Second question was, you mentioned the outreach with the public schools, Wake Public Schools, which I think is great, but I'm also familiar with the fact that the public schools are not open in many cases to the use of school property, whether it be tracks or open areas by the public. So how's that sort of working?
Yeah, so I can't speak a whole lot on that side, because I do realize there's a whole kind of discussion about that part of it. What we're currently looking at is if we were able to incorporate other schools that we don't currently have as part of a joint use agreement, how would that affect our 10-minute walk numbers that we're looking at? So, if we find a gap from our current parking Greenway 10-minute walk service areas, and there's a gap and there's maybe 2,000 folks, but there's a school right there that has open play field and a playground, if we were able to work with schools to create a joint use agreement with that particular school, or perhaps even a comprehensive joint use agreement across the county, how that would affect the numbers, just so we can get a look at like what that looks like. So I don't know how, as far as the conversation, that's outside of my league, but I do know it's a difficult conversation for sure.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to speak for that shortly. The Trust for Public Land, which kind of is the kind of progenitor of like the 10-minute walk focus for cities in general, also has a huge program on schoolyards to playgrounds, which is the focus on exactly what you're talking about. How do you open up schools after hours? Obviously, there's maintenance issues, there's insurance issues, there's security issues. So, it's never an easy agreement, but we've had some success, as Mike mentioned, with JUAs, with joint maintenance agreements for some of those spaces. And so that's what the conversation would mostly settle on, is how we kind of share costs and operating of those facilities. But we think it's a really big opportunity. Chicago, Detroit, New York City, a couple of cities have opened up upwards of 50 to 100 schoolyards after hours through these joint use agreements. And it's just, these are opportunities where they already exist, the infrastructure is already there. If money was put in to upfit these spaces and to do some maintenance, with their opportunity to open them up. So yeah, we're pursuing that. And actually Wake County, I think, has a $200,000 annual grant for just this. So working with Wake County too. So it's an ongoing agreement, but we think it's a really big opportunity.
Great, thank you.
Doug?
Adam, could you tell us a little bit about what happens at Carnage? Because that's not really a 10-minute walk thing. You've got the wetland center right there, but you are doing the cooperative maintenance, and how could you grow from that to identifying, say, something on the order of the strollways that we talked about, connecting Chavis with Dix Park, that would connect their front yard, some real conspicuous place, for example, to one of the nearby parks? I'm thinking of Athens and Lake Johnson.
So we have a number of joint use agreements, and I would say a lot of them were not necessarily created with this 10-minute walk in mind. How do we create increase our walk shed area? But that has been in the focus for this next stage. So we've identified about 25 schools that would increase our walk score by over 20,000, 25,000 people. So that is the kind of focus and intent for the future. But I mean, I think to your point, it's not just about walk score. There's opportunities all across the city with schools and schoolyards. So, I think as we develop this relationship, hopefully we'll kind of work more collaborative with Wake County Schools. But for the, kind of the upcoming years and how we want to use our resources and attention and the politics of it, it's going to focus mostly on that, expanding the walk score. So focusing on schools where we don't have any parks, and opening up those schoolyards after hours would make a big contribution to increasing access.
All right. Any other questions for Mike and the team? No? All right. Oh, Kara.
I'm curious how you guys keep your data up to date, how like the data collection process.
That's a great question. It's rather difficult with the amount of assets that we do maintain. We do a number of things. As I mentioned, we have a part-time staff person that it's kind of one of his main jobs is to go out to the parks and collect assets. We have an existing base that was built years ago, so we have a good base to start from. So now it's really just maintaining things. So it's staying in communication with our planning team. We also work with our park maintenance staff, and we have built mobile apps that they can collect information in their own parks, kind of like a self-service that we can then verify and make sure is up to date. So we have a couple of different mechanisms. We have some field staff that do things. We have a part-time person, and it's something we constantly monitor because we know it's so important for everything that we continue to build that's accurate as possible. It's never going to be perfect, but we try to keep it up to date as much as we can.
Is there an opportunity to like citizen science this type of situation?
So we've talked about that, and I know there's a new leaf out program that's beginning here soon, and that's something that we're discussing internally as far as like, can we build like a crowdsourcing type app where citizens can collect their tree where they plant it, and it's something we're looking into to try to build. So it's something we've talked about internally. For certain specific things. There's some things that we need to make sure we handle ourselves inside, but like something like that, especially as grand as that is and difficult that is to be able to track that many trees, that's something we're definitely looking into.
All right. Any other questions? Doug?
I'm excited about the tree canopy contributions you can make to help identify the most likely candidates for beginning work, and I'm sure Jeff and Kate are already on to that. So I'm interested in the language in one of your slides that says visualize and tell the story about the understory. And I'm thinking that's more, canopy is vertical, understory is horizontal and lateral. Is there a general notion you could give us of how we can tackle assessing likely places for beautification on the edges of greenways?
I'm not sure if there's a way that GIS data is going to be able to identify those particular locations. You might be able to use canopy data and LiDAR data to see where trees are not located, and then have kind of a boots on the ground effect to look to see if those are areas that need to be looked at more intensely. But I'm not sure if GIS itself is going to be able to identify those specific areas for work.
Yeah, you might be able to sort of predict places, take the tree canopy or absence thereof, the spaces that are off limits to planting like sewer outfalls, and then proximity of structures, backyards and things like that, but it would be an inference. Following on that, what sort of opportunity would you have with making, I guess I'm thinking we really ought to be talking to Shasheen about design and then come to you. Would that make sense?
Yeah, if you're particularly speaking of like what something might look like in a future development, then that would be part of like a design process. So you'd want to speak with the kind of our planning level and design folks as far as incorporating that into the process. It's something that I don't think GIS would be helpful for as far as rendering that type of scope of what something might look like in the future.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you coming and speaking with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Next up, we have another What We Do presentation on cemetery maintenance. Okay.
Good evening, Chair, board members. I'm Michael DeGrossa, grounds manager. I'm going to give another plug to the GIS team. I've been one of those people in front of the computer during storm event, watching the numbers tick, and then also watching where our staff is and capturing live data, so it's extremely useful. We're also using GIS data for a couple of our new arboretums that we're working on. So tree identification, taking pictures, photograph, keeping track of their health and their overall progress. We're using GIS data for that as well. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Lurch. He's our superintendent who oversees our cemetery maintenance. He's going to go over all different aspects of what we're doing out there, from pollinator gardens to monument restoration to routine maintenance, and then our staff that take care of those spaces.
Thank you. Good evening, board.
She's magic.
I'll let someone who's competent take control there. So. Okay, thank you very much. So with the responsibility of maintenance, there's also the perpetual care, preservation that's also involved, which would have gone out to a second party in the past. And now, unless it's a larger issue that we cannot maintain or take care of, everything is done in-house now. And so besides internments, monument rebasing, and monument restoration, we have taken on new fields or new initiatives like the pollinators, like Mike DeGrossa was just referring to. And we currently really focus on 4 of our main cemeteries, but as you can see, we also have we have 12 properties in total. that are very small in nature that are just on other city properties throughout the city. But maintaining the grounds of the historical cemeteries and the balance of maintenance and preservation is our key focus. And just in everything in total equals about 50 acres of maintained turf. And just to give you an idea, Mount Hope Cemetery by itself is 33 acres. So there's a bit to do out there. And generally speaking, we only have 2 to 3 people at one time that are maintaining all of that space. First, I'd like to talk on City Cemetery, which was established in 1798. It has gone through a lot of different phases while with the city, and now I like to think that it's in its best state right now as far as maintenance goes. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen this before, but this is the actual the actual lots and how City Cemetery is designed and what we go off of as far as all of our data and locations and finding people. As with City Cemetery, Mount Hope, O'Rourke, which are our key 3. Dorothea Dix makes the 4th, but it came in after the fact, so we didn't have a lot of the historical data. But just so you know, everything as far as data collection gets very difficult before 1930 because that is when the fires took out the archive locations of all the individuals buried in Raleigh city cemeteries. The Raleigh City Cemetery Preservation Society was able to go off of death records and deeds. So we know the majority of who is buried in which cemetery, but not the location in the cemetery. So I unfortunately disappoint a lot of people that are doing genealogy throughout Raleigh through their ancestry. O'Rourke Cemetery, established in 1858, was owned by the Catholic Church, and then it became city property, I believe, in 1981. And we've been maintaining it since then. There are no active services going on there, but we did just get it. We had GPR done on the site to coincide with the data that we already had, and we're able to map out where individuals were buried, where before the information was very sparse. And a lot of people didn't know where their loved ones were buried from 40 years ago. They remember them being buried there, but they didn't know where. And we've actually helped give people a lot of closure, and new markers are going out when people are inquiring about putting them out there. Because currently, as you can see on the map, anything in blue are the only markers that are actually in the cemetery, and all the other spaces with a name are where they're interred, but there is no marker designating them. And Dorothea Dix Cemetery, established 1859. The information is still coming in as we progress with when new information comes about. And it has been incorporated into the master plan for Dorothea Dix Park, and it will be a lot bigger in scope with the master plan. Instead of the just the cemetery itself and what it borders, it will have 6 acres, I believe, that is going to be dedicated to the cemetery area, just to make it a place of reflection and to be respectful of the people that are buried there. And there's estimated 958 graves within Dorothea Dix Cemetery. This was actually found when the city took over ownership of Dorothea Dix Park. It was in one of the buildings. It's one of the original layouts for the cemetery. And it's not very conventional in its symmetry, so it makes it unique. And we theorize that it was, since a lot of the graves were hand dug, if they hit veins of rock, they kept going where they could dig. And that's why there's those anomalies and curvatures in the lines. Just a point of interesting observation. And Mount Hope Cemetery, established 1878. I'm going to be biased. It's definitely my favorite cemetery to work at. And the layout here, I mean, you can see through the 33 acres that it's an extremely large area. We have a lot of history here, and our staff takes a lot of pride in maintaining the space. And it was originally 11.5 acres provided for public burial space for Raleigh's Black residents, and through multiple land acquisitions through the years, it makes up the 33 acres that it is today. And Mount Hope is the only city cemetery that is currently still interring Raleigh residents, and we do approximately 80 interments per year, and we have about 7 years worth of sellable space left, and then we'll go into perpetual care. There are some plans in the currently to expand services, but we're still currently working on those. When they reach a little bit more fruition, I'll be happy to report on that. And currently, we have over 200 military veterans that are buried at Mount Hope Cemetery, which spans from the Spanish-American War to present. And I just threw that picture in there because it's really pretty, and not many people get to see that much snow in Raleigh, and so, yeah. Restoration of our historical monuments is a very big job, and we generally work on it during our winter time. We are constantly educating the public on the right and wrong ways of monument cleaning, because sometimes the best intentions wind up with the worst results. So we're very big on educating people on how to do it properly, and as you can see, these are the same markers that were dug up at City Cemetery that were damaged, knocked over, and just buried. And we were able to restore those in-house. And it makes a big difference in the aesthetics and just being able to find people, because the information on those stones is a lot of times how we piece together our data. Challenges that the cemeteries face. Fire ants and black widows are our biggest natural conflicts. They love the warm monuments and all the fake flowers, because no one ever pulls fake flowers, so they become the ideal breeding grounds for black widows. And in order to not have incidents in the cemeteries, we did institute twice-a-year cleaning throughout the cemetery, that we posted signage so people know that, regardless of when you put something out, right before Mother's Day and in August, we do clean everything out, just because it does get that bad, especially with the black widows. We do treat for the fire ants, but it's 33 acres. It's a lot to treat. Unsanctioned religious ceremonies, voodoo, Santeria, and witchcraft. We actually do deal with this probably about 3 times a year. Luckily, it generally happens when we're not there, and we kind of pick up the mess afterwards. But it is a problem that's ongoing, but we do work with RPD, and they send volunteer groups through there to help with monitoring the cemetery. And some of our accomplishments, the Anthemian Award, and the Caraway Award of Merit for Mount Hope for our restoration and database recovery. This is an initiative that we're very proud of. It's the Wildflower and Pollinators, which Alicia Smith, our cemetery gardener, does a great job. She's been doing it now for 3 years, and it keeps on expanding the areas that we make into pollinator areas. And we utilize a lot of the old roads that were never paved over as our stepping stones for new areas to build upon. And now we're working on, they just installed some bluebird boxes and are getting the Audubon Society involved in the cemetery as well, just to, and the more good foot traffic we have, the less bad. And it just aesthetically is a big feather in the cap for our cemeteries in Raleigh. And utilizing the native and host plants and what were barren mulch beds is great for our native wildlife. And now we have official designated monarch way stations throughout the cemeteries. And our goals to accomplish this fiscal year is continued monument restoration, cemetery aesthetics, columbarium prosel, which I brought up briefly, for extending services, and our Arboretum Class 2 status. Are there any questions?
Thank you for that presentation. Kara?
Yes, thank you. That was very interesting. For O'Rourke Cemetery, is it everyone's getting a marker where you know that graves are, or just people who request it?
It's people that are looking for a loved one and want to put a memorial out there. So we know now where those individuals from the 80s and onward were buried. So if somebody is requesting a marker, we know where to put it.
Okay, so it's not like we as a city are going out and putting markers where we know graves are?
No.
Is
just
that
have
something that
the
we do?
information.
Oh, okay. We don't do that just to mark where someone is in general?
No, we do not do that. I mean, if it's requested, I mean, I'll flag areas for people, but I mean, that's not a precedent I would want to start, since we have over 10,000 people buried in our city cemeteries, and
Okay.
the majority do not have markers.
Okay. Will there be any pollinator gardens at that cemetery?
At O'Rourke, I do believe she is working on a proposal to some of the trees that were along the side of O'Rourke that have died out, has now made it a prime candidate for putting in some pollinator plantings and some new trees, especially since now we know where all the individuals are buried in O'Rourke. We know where we can, because there used to be a giant oak tree right in the center of O'Rourke that fell over during one of the tornadoes in 2007. So now that we know the location and where the root zone would be, we can select a species of tree that we can increase the canopy cover in O'Rourke Cemetery, where before we could not. So pollinators and trees.
Great. And for Dix Park, you mentioned there's going to be like kind of a buffer around the cemetery. Where will that be? Like, I can't really picture like where that would go.
If you're familiar with the rectangular shape of the cemetery, it basically encompasses like a large oval shape with plantings, and I think walkways was in the renderings. I haven't seen it in a few years. I don't imagine that's changed much, but I know that's further along in the master plan. But it flares out from the middle. The middle would be like the core of it, and it just expands outward from there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Doug?
I'd like to see that thing sometime, if you could help me arrange to look at it. In terms of looking at the Flowers Field as one of the meadows described in the master plan, and see how it relates to the conversation you can have from the master plan about how it should be integrated. I'm sure it'll work out nicely. Those photos yet are beautiful.
I'm sure I can work on getting some renderings. That's anything outside of the cemetery is not something I have direct access to, but I'm sure I can.
Well, we can go look at it, and you could show me, but I'd love to do that sometime. Maybe you join me. Also on Mount Hope, you were talking about the difficulty of dealing with the edges. One of the edges goes along Rocky Branch.
Yes.
And it looks like some work has been done there to clean up the understory. That's a good move. But where do you keep your materials otherwise? Because for the longest time, it looked like an area where some mulch was stored and things like that. But more important, because that can be cleaned up, what do you see happening there as another way to address the edge that we share along the Greenway?
As far as at the Cemetery Service Road and the Greenway, that area in between, we took the initiative to clean that up, get the understory out, and elevate all the trees.
Looks great.
The
Looks really
invasive
good.
removals. It was mainly for safety at the time. And since it's been opened up, they have the Greenway vegetation team and the cemetery gardener have worked on putting out native plants and some smaller beautification plants throughout there. As far as material storage, it's still at the end of that cul-de-sac. And we have it divided up. Hopefully it's not too much of an eyesore, but
No, it's the potential's still there. And you said the magic word, native plants, that would come in useful, I think, in our education about how we're going to deal with the understory. Maybe, Charles, you and I could talk about a reasonable way to touch on that a little bit. We don't want to get too far ahead of things, but that would be something worth looking at because it is the last stretch of Rocky Branch heading west until you come to our Dix Park entrance.
All right. Ian?
Hey, thanks for the presentation. One question I had was, similar to the way that the parks banks land for future parks, does the city also buy land for future cemeteries, or is what there is now all that there will be?
As far as I know, what we have is all there will be.
All right. Other questions? Well, I have one. So for these historic cemeteries, obviously we saw from the presentation when they were started, and you mentioned that there's at least one where there's still burials for at least a few more years, and presumably, do we track, I guess, when we close them, like when the last burial is, and then does that factor in, you mentioned turf management, does that factor into maybe when we would consider converting parts of the cemeteries from turf to bigger plantings, like either pollinator gardens or even full-size trees? Cemeteries, to me, and this might mark me as a psychopath, seem like an ideal place for trees to be growing since we're not going to be building anything there.
It does seem like it would be an ideal place to put trees, but it's actually the opposite. Once we had when the tornadoes came through in 2007, the root masses were so large that they actually pulled individuals out of the ground. So, and it took over a year for the archaeologists to remove the remains and put them back in. And that's something that we do not want to repeat. And so any areas that we plant trees, we're very cognizant of how wide the root bases will get so it doesn't affect people that are currently interred, which is why we use the old roads because there's nobody buried there. But we won't put generally large species of trees. They'll be medium size. And as far as finishing up burial space, that's still probably 100 years from now. Even though we only have 7 years of sellable space, people have been buying space for families and individuals for the past 100 years. I mean, so we may not be selling any more space, but we will continue to inter people as long as they have the space, which will be between 70 and 100 years.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? Oh, Kate.
How long has Parks been responsible for the city cemeteries?
Could you repeat that question?
How long has the Parks Department been responsible for the city cemeteries?
That's a fantastic question. I have no idea.
So we can follow up and get that answer for you. That's no problem.
I know from my predecessor and one more past him to Jack Lawrence, I believe, was the last one of the first people, I believe, that was involved with parks and the cemeteries. But yeah, that's a great question. I'll find the answer for that.
Well, I love what you all are doing. Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you. All right. Next, we have a presentation by our own Giovanna Harris about the eScribe agenda.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Giovanna Harris. I'm the Executive Management Coordinator for Raleigh Parks. And so I won't be before you long. Let's see. But I am here to walk you all through the new eScribe system. As you can tell from this month's meeting information that was sent out, it was sent through eScribes. I didn't give a whole lot of information because I knew I was going to do this today. So we have transferred all of our information into eScribe. eScribe is the same system that City Council uses and other boards and commissions have and will be transferring to the system as well. So each month, I'll continue to send you the link through the packet information. But if you are not able to get to that information right off, I'm going to show you from a public-facing how you can access via the website. So this is the City of Raleigh homepage. You are able to go to departments, scroll to City Council, and scroll down to City Council boards and commissions agenda and minutes. And it's pretty much the same. This will take you to the same spot where the link is that I send you each month. You'll scroll down, and today we have our meeting. We're actually live streaming the meeting now. And so with the agenda, this is actually just the agenda in PDF format. And so this doesn't have the attachments or anything. This is just the agenda. And then with the full package, the HTML, this is where I encourage you all to go to this one for you all to use. Because when you click on it, you can see this recording. The blue titles, once you click on them, you're able to, in one of the corners, in the right corner, upper corner, it will tell you if there is an attachment linked to that item. So let's see, let me go, we're getting ready to go into the minutes. Over to your right, you'll see the blue hyperlink with the minutes attached. And so that would, a paperclip would be on each of the items for that. And you can click on to see the attachments. And then the other way that you can access the full package is through PDF. And so it's similar to the agenda, but it has all of the attachments at the end of the agenda. Yeah, I don't know what's showing like that. Okay. Yep. And so that's pretty much how you access it through the public facing. On the back end is something a little totally different on how I input the information and push it out to you all and to the public. And so this version is the same version that the public sees as well. And so with eScribe, we're able to work the minutes into the document and publish them after the meeting. And the recordings will be time-stamped. So once the meeting concludes and you go back and look at the recording via eScribe, if you click on each of the options or each of the items, it'll take it right to the point of where we started discussing that information for each of the items. Just know it's still a work in progress. This is our first meeting. A little nervous about it, but I'm getting through it. And that's pretty much it. Any questions? And this is a little bit cleaner and easier to access than the board docs.
Well, it looks a lot easier. Any questions? Linda?
Just a compliment on all the work that went behind this, because it is easier than board docs.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it.
All right, next we have the director's report. Actually, no, we don't. We had action items, but there's no action items. We have approval of the meeting minutes. So at this time, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October? All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right. I know you wanted to get in first, but
Chris,
mic drop.
Uh,
I had a question on, well, I don't know where that falls into the process, but a question on the overview in there. Part of it mentions that there was a motion to approve the staff's recommendation on Big Branch that failed on a 5-3 vote. I was just sort of looking back on my notes. There were 14 of us here. So I thought that was, I thought it was a 9-5, not
Yeah.
5-3.
That's correct.
Okay.
It was 9-5. Thank you, Steve. Okay. Yeah. What was that?
I said we just got 2 triggers on approving the minutes there.
Well, we haven't voted on it yet. You just seconded it. Yeah. So I'll take a motion to approve them with those edits.
Motion to approve them with the edit.
All right, and Stephen, I'll take your second. All those in favor of that motion? Aye. All right, all those opposed? All right, that passed, I think, 13-0. Okay, now we have the director's report from Mr. Craig.
Yep. First of all, I'd like to take a moment of privilege and say thank you to Stephen for giving me this opportunity to sit here with all of you in his absence. I know he is watching, so hello, Stephen. With that being said, I have 7 pages. I'm thinking 8-9 minutes per page. We should be out of here in at least an hour. Just joking. Okay, I want to highlight a couple things that is super important. You have the document, but I'm just going to highlight a couple items. Starting with City Council, making sure everyone is aware. We had a City Council meeting on October 21st. If you think about October 21st, what was approved was the South Park Heritage Trail schematic design. That was approved, and that was something that came to this board as a recommendation. So thank you so much for your support. As we look at November 4th City Council meeting, I'm happy to announce and share that we will have a urban farm at Marsh Creek Park. So that's a lot of work has went into that, and we're very appreciative. Our partner will be the Raleigh City Farm. This is a local Raleigh-based nonprofit organization that will be our partner to help bring this to life. So we're very excited about that opportunity. Also, as we look at November 4th meeting, I also want to share that we have the Neighborhood and Community Connectors design. This is also a schematic design that was approved that many of you participated in and looked at and talked about, and it became a recommendation from this board, and council also agreed. So thank you again for your support. Next, we did have a council meeting this week. This was November 18th, 2025, and this is in regards to Big Branch Greenway Connector Trail. That was a schematic design as well. It was approved with a vote of 5-2, and what was approved? It was approved for segment 1A and 4 with the Streamside West alignment, section 1B. That was approved by City Council. I also want to highlight just a couple things that's happening within the parks world that we are super proud of, starting with our recreation division. I do want to highlight in the in the space and the time of giving and need from food security and anything of that nature. We're excited to be partnering with Wake County Cooperative Extension to host 15 community centers across the city for food collection sites. We're very proud of that. With those 15 locations, we launched it this week, November 15th, and it will run through December 19th. This is open to the public to donate during operating hours for any type of non-perishable food items, personal care items, along with any essential supplies. Folks are willing to give. They can come to any of those 15 locations, which is posted on our website if you would like to read more. I also want to share it has been an explosive year for the Raleigh Parks Adults Basketball Program. I'm pretty excited about this one. With this, I'm just going to read off some very important stats for you to understand. We have seen some tremendous growth. In the year 2024 to 25, we had 32 teams. This year, 2025 going into 2026, we have 71 teams. I think that is fantastic and should be celebrated. And I just wanted to highlight that. From the Parks and Natural Resources Division, I do want to touch on Pullen Park. The upper pond has a nice fountain. So if you haven't had an opportunity to walk and look at the fountain and check out the water, it's super peaceful. And I want to invite you there to please take advantage of that. As we look at Resources Division, Dix Park is continuing to be a destination location, which many of you are aware. The Trolls. Oh, man, the Trolls are bringing people all across the country. We looked at some numbers and had a quick conversation today, but we have already reached over 100,000 people within the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, within the last 3 weeks of Dix Park, from the Trolls to Gibson Play Plaza to just going to Dix Park as a destination. It's truly a destination, and I wanted to highlight that. Something else that's very important, we have been recognized, Dix Park that is, as one of the top 8 urban parks in America, and this was posted by the Washington Post, so something that we should also celebrate. With that, I would like to touch on the Dr. MP Pope House Museum has reopened to the public. It opened on this Saturday on November 15th. So it just opened up this past week. We're very, very excited about it. The property went through a lot of work, and now it's open to the public. Next steps will be activating the outdoor landscape space, making that beautiful and making it exciting and inviting for everyone on the outside. Lastly, I want to touch on, we have a all-electric trolley. Woohoo! I'm the only one excited. I'm sorry. I was like so excited about our electrification program. Is probably one of the best. I'm very excited to be a part of it and super thankful. So we have an all-electric trolley. It went into operation last month, but I wanted to make sure you was aware of that. And now we have one full electric trolley that's in operations, and we have a propane trolley as well that's in operations. So we are doing some cutting edge stuff here in Raleigh Parks, and I'm proud about it. So with that being said, last thing I would like to touch on is Marion Bright is an opportunity. It's a program that's going to be hosted at Pullen Park. If you think about Holiday Express, this will be more of a grown-up opportunity, 21 years of age and up, opportunity for adults to experience Pullen Park at night. Marion Bright is also posted online. Tickets are available right now. We have already sold over 500 tickets. We're hoping to sell another 500. So help get the word out for those of them that will love a beautiful date night. It'll be a great opportunity for all the adults. With that being said, I'm going to conclude the director's report on behalf of our director, Stephen Bentley. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Craig. Any questions? Go ahead,
Craig,
Jack.
Excuse me. Could you share a little bit more information about this structure, the urban park program? Like, how is that for the public to get involved? Like, how is that going to work?
Yeah, that's fantastic. It will definitely have some public engagement opportunities through education. Right now, Marsh Creek Community Center is one of the best for teaching gardens, understanding, and teaching the next generation around plantings, vegetables, and things of that nature. So bringing in this partner is going to enhance that. It's going to bring more to the community, more engagement, more education, and we will continue to grow the program as things are established. So we're right here in the beginning phase of it, and we're hoping it will blossom into something beautiful. So more to come.
Thank you.
All right. Were there other questions, Kate?
I did. How do y'all know how many people have gone to Dix Park?
That's an excellent question. AI is the future. So we're able to count using a AI program that we're fortunate to have access to that is able to count cell phones, data of that nature. Yeah.
I'm going to go without my cell phone, so you won't know I'm there.
All right.
AI already heard you say that. It just counted you.
So instead of 100,000, we have 99,900, and I'm just joking.
Anybody else? Any other questions? All right. Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
More of like a, I guess, internal housekeeping. You guys have at the city park staff level the 8 free mental health, I guess, appointments or something, or 6 to 8. I think that's a new program, and I was just hoping on the staff side to maybe get those like posted as a signage to at least in staff areas, at least across the parks, just so that they know that that's a possibility to get that mental health resources.
All right, thank you so much. That is in line with our HR department, and we call it EAP, I believe, Employee Assistance Program, which we just wrapped up our benefits. We open enrollment and benefits fair. There is postings, and more postings could be definitely activated. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for our stand-in director? All right. Thank you, Mr. Craig. All right. Next item, we have committee reports. Parks Committee did not meet. Did you guys have any statement you wanted to make? You don't have to.
We're going to be meeting with Ken Hissler in the near future to talk about upcoming issues and programming some items for the January, February timeframe.
Okay. So if anybody has any thoughts that they want the chairs to bounce off Mr. Hissler, just to reach out to Bob or Carrie. No Fred Fletcher report. Greenways Committee. You guys haven't had much going on, have you?
We had a light meeting last week on the heels of Big Branch. We had a couple items. We had a representative from Campo come in and give us a presentation on the Triangle Bikeway. It's a path from 40 from Raleigh to Chapel Hill, and we saw preliminary design on the east segment of that. Then we had a presentation from maintenance on the Greenway severe weather response, and we saw their side of the picture on a lot of the GIS that we saw today and how they're utilizing that to rapid response when we have storms come through and clean up the greenways.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Sustainability, Kate?
We had a really exciting meeting. I think there's been a fair amount of talk about trees tonight. And as I think you've all heard, there's this discussion about can we create a program to plant 24,000 trees in Raleigh for Raleigh's 240th anniversary in 2032. And some really exciting progress has been made. We have 3 nonprofits that are exciting to be part of this and partnering together. And one of them is North Carolina Audubon, obviously a bigger group that has a lot of capacity, really interested in partnering with our 2 local nonprofits, Trees for the Triangle and We Plant It Forward. And the 3 groups together have just done really impressive work thinking through how could they help make this happen in partnership with the City of Raleigh and Raleigh Parks. And at our last meeting, they gave a presentation that I think had everybody very, very excited about it. One other thing that happened in the meeting was that Mike Gudikins, who we just heard from about GIS, he came to talk about how the city could help how parks could help track trees planted. You know, how do we count those 24,000 trees? And he actually had already like set up a way that this would happen so that he could like enter in, okay, suppose you had a tree in this area, how that would work, which was really, really exciting. And I really appreciated him taking the time to do that already. I think there's a lot of interest from staff in this, and I also know that there's a fair number of city council members who are pretty interested in it too. And so somehow or other, we've got to get everybody talking together so that we can really move forward on this quickly. But it really feels like it's building and exciting, and I appreciate all the enthusiasm for it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Kate. No Arts Commission report. BPAC, Bob?
Yeah, I want to say it's after 3 years of attending the bicycle pedestrian meetings, I'm truly impressed now that the way it's expanded its view. We're seeing more emphasis on pedestrians and non-motor vehicular traffic, and looking ahead at how we're going to grow and bring all this together. It's a complicated process, but we're seeing far more than just the bicycles or the, other singular modes, but working together to bring it together and how we're going to focus to try to make it safe in the future. I think that's a real good way to look at things.
That's awesome. Thank you, Bob. Dick's leadership, Mr. Craig already mentioned some of the troll success that's gone on. A couple other announcements. DHHS has completed their move out of the buildings. If you guys remember, the state's Department of Health and Human Services was on campus. They're now off. And demolition is slated to begin on the West Campus on January 26th. So if anybody wants to track that. There's a few other dates that I can provide as well, but that's kind of the termination date. And then I thought this was really exciting, especially because we talked about local plants earlier when we were talking about cemeteries. But the artist in residence for Dick's, Preston Montague, did a presentation on all the various local plants from this area that he's been spreading across Dick's. So if you've been on Dick's recently, you've seen a lot of the work that he's done. It's just really phenomenal. He said, I think some of the numbers I had here were 2,000 sod pieces were laid out, and this was natural grasses, not just your Kentucky bluegrass. So that's kind of the high points. Historic resources.
No report.
Okay. PRGAB bylaws update. Back to me. You guys saw the bylaws update that was in our new system, whose name I already can't remember. Any questions? eScribe. It's so easy. I should remember that. It's easier than board docs. Any questions about the bylaws update? No? Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. It was not much of a change. All right. Liaison reports. Any? Council? Oh, okay. I'll take a motion to approve sending that to the city attorney's office. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
All right. And a second? Okay. It's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right. That motion passes. Okay. All right. Now liaison reports. Any liaisons meet in the past month? Nope. Okay. Chair report. I just want to thank you guys. Mr. Craig mentioned the results of the recent city council meetings, including this past Tuesday where Big Branch was passed by the council. Council heard what we said. I know a lot of you guys watched on TV. Some of you guys were even there in person. I think council members really appreciated the work that we put in. That was the feedback that I got, and you guys heard a few comments. I'll just pick on council member Jane Harrison, where she basically mentioned this was a really tough decision. I think she either called it the best worst decision or the choice or the worst best. Either way, it was a really difficult choice. Council, there were members that wanted to potentially wait for some of the additional data that members of this board indicated that we wanted to see. Ultimately, that decision was made to move forward because we as a board also said that connector was something that was really important to the city, to the 10,000 people that'll get connected. Personally, I think 10,000 is actually kind of a conservative figure. You guys saw some of the GIS maps earlier. I think one of those was actually referring to kind of the distance to parks, the access to greenways. There's a huge chunk in Northeast Raleigh of people that have those red zones where they don't have easy access to greenways, and this is going to be kind of the first step that's going to link to, I think, a lot more than 10,000 people, and I think that's thanks to the work of this board. So I just want to thank you guys for that. If there's any other comments or points of discussion, Carrie?
Maybe it's slightly out of order. I'm just kind of curious, the conversations that took place at the beginning for talking about Biltmore, the parks bond that passed in 2022, why it's taking until 2026 for the public meetings to take place? Why, do we know why that has taken so long? Just curious.
So thank you for that comment. There's been work already behind the scenes, and there's already been some public engagement from my understanding. And Adam, you can help me out here if I get messed up. But for the most part, we will bring back whatever we need to from a communications lens. But we are actively just trying to pull up notes to make sure I get this right.
Apologies, no intent to push you off your topic.
No, you're spot on. I believe that we have communicated. Adam, can you help me out here just to double check?
Didn't we look at Biltmore about a year ago?
We have done it. It's in, we're kind of in permitting at this point. Like we're rolling, but
Yeah, this board, I think, has approved the schematic design to add 8 tennis courts there, as well as some alterations to the baseball field nearby. So, yeah, we've had community input during that process. I think this is a secondary conversation about the rehabilitation of the existing 8 courts, so not just the addition of the 8, as well as I think these 3 groups are having some issues about court time has emerged. So I think that's where this is kind of a secondary conversation. But in terms of the public input for the Biltmore project, that's already been done and the schematic design has been approved.
I appreciate the clarification. The way it was stated previously, it sounded like we had not yet had public comment, so it sounds like you clearly have been doing some work, so thank you for that.
Hey, Adam, quick question. The person who was here in October said something about work being done in 2017 that never came to fruition. Do you know what that was about? Something about like $1.8 million or something?
No, I'm not sure. They might have been a larger company. Those, where to add courts in Southeast Raleigh has been a long conversation, and there's been 2 different parks where we've been considering it, and those have stalled. We've finally arrived at Biltmore as kind of a premier location with 16 courts for tournament play. So it might have been connected to those conversations about where we had previously thought about putting these courts, and now we've settled on Biltmore, but I'm not certain. I'll have to wait for, we can follow up on that.
Yep, and I want to take another moment to just add to that. So we are actively making some improvements to the existing courts, and the community definitely have the opportunity to come to the January meeting and share more feedback or any concern. We're public servants, that's completely fine. But for the bond project itself, to echo similar to what Adam has shared, it has already come to this board here. We have moved forward with that. Now we're looking at more of the active maintenance and ongoing improvements.
I appreciate it. Just, again, maybe it was how I interpreted the comments previously. It sounded like we had not yet had anything, and so you certainly have clarified, so thank you for that.
Can we have an update somewhere in the coming months to kind of fill us in on what's been done since the last time we saw Biltmore?
Thank you. We can capture that.
Yeah, go ahead, Kate.
So if I'm understanding correctly, though, the existing courts is a maintenance issue, so that would be a total different budget situation, right? It would be in the regular budget. And so that's funded already, or maybe that's not something you can answer right now, but.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for bringing it up. It's definitely something that we will look at and see what we can do and program it and weigh it against other priorities as well. One of the things that we have done a great job, I believe, as a city is when something goes under construction, we try to do all the work at the same time. So when it opens back up to the public, we're not doing another closure a couple months or something later. So I think that we have a little time in the interim can do some things, but a more bigger investment, we want to make sure we line up that timing and secure that funding.
Any other questions or comments? Doug?
Sort of on that question is something I read recently where the person said, it's easy to build where people aren't, it's hard to build where people are. And we've been working on the Greenway probably since the 80s where people weren't. And now we're dealing with where people are. Big Branch is a good example of that. And I think we can we can understand some of the delays. I don't think we're going to have a magic bullet or whatever they call it for this one, but we'll have a good steady route to it, and I'm real confident in that, Charles. I think one of the main things that will get us there and be as supportive as we can is to keep doing the great job we did on Big Branch. I have never been prouder of working with a group of people when I saw Stephen deliver his message to the city council. And of course, there was always one part that particularly appeals to me, which was his rendering of the Big Branch backyards before and after. And this is not exactly the kind of rendering I was always thinking of, because you wanted to show how crummy it looked and how more beautiful it was if you listened to me or people with my propensity to rant on that topic. But he showed what it looked like before, the backyard that they were all real proud of. And then he showed another picture which was identical, except for one thing. The smoothest, most pleasant-looking piece of tar stretching into the way where the Greenway was going to be. And I looked at Jane Harrison at that moment. I was sitting there, and he was here. And you could see sort of the weight lifting off her head. Images of what we want to have on the park that are appealing and not like we'll get to that later, is going to be the thing that keeps people tolerant of detours and closings and tolerant of not spending the money fast enough and all the rest of the things. And now with the lesson I've learned from Kate, I can stop a sentence there.
All right. If there's nothing else, one more thing.
I got two.
Two more things.
First off, if you have not RSVP'd for the holiday social, please do so before December 1st. And also, I sent out an email regarding the Raleigh Tech Team. I've had 2 individuals who would like to represent the Parks Board. Is there anyone else? And then we can, it's Daniel and Doug would like to represent, but we only need one. April. She sent me a message today and removed her name.
Okay. If there's nobody else that wants to do it, is that something that we should vote on here?
Just need one.
Sorry.
Need one.
Yeah, just need one. Okay. All right. You guys heard there's 2 candidates. There's Daniel and Doug. Does anybody object to voting at the table and not secret ballot?
They might work it out right now. Let's go with Kara.
Okay. There's some political deal making going on over here. You guys are going to flip for it? Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have a coin?
What are we flipping for?
Anybody got a penny?
Do you guys have a more high-tech solution? Is that? Yeah.
If you listen to me, you do it.
Or that.
All right. The people have spoken. Daniel, you win. Okay. All right. Daniel is the selection. All right. If there's nothing else, meeting adjourned.